Alrighty, let's do the clacker action. And one the clacker action. Welcome to Morning Minutes with myself, Michael Bergio, and co-host Mark Novak.
And the clacker.
The clacker. Just make up
Welcome to
words
the
and shit.
clacker.
Welcome
Yeah.
to the clacker. Alrighty, what are we talking about? We've got a baby in the background. We're talking about, Mark, what are we talking about? ABCs, the baby. Are you pregnant, Mark?
I'm not pregnant. We're not having
Okay.
no babies at the Novak household, but we're talking about buying a property.
Okay, and the first step. So basically, what's the
first
thing?
step to buying a property?
Yeah.
Real basic stuff, and that's why we've got little Bubba in the background.
Yes.
Because it's a new baby being born, new property being purchased. So for some of us, it's common, and we've done it before. Some of us have not done it before. So today is for you to share with friends or family that are going to be setting up to buy something and what they have to do.
Yeah. Good morning, Glenn, Amal, Andrew Cole, Lisa. All righty, let's get into it. So I reckon some steps may vary, but I think the ones we'll go through, Mark, will probably be the strongest ones to get you kick-started. So you're sitting in your living room and you're just going, I want to buy. Everyone says to buy, but I have no idea what to do. Now, the first thing, when you're buying a property, you're generally not buying it all with cash. It's very common to be getting loans on a property. I think some people may not understand that, where a lot of people, when you're buying a car or you're buying anything, really you're used to buying it all up front. And if you got the money, that's what you do. But property, you have a small deposit and you go to the bank for a loan for the rest. That's common. That's not, you're a bad investor or nothing. Getting a loan to buy a property is probably 99% of anyone who buys a property.
And we've got some experienced agents watching as well. Any feedback from those lovely guys, I'm happy to listen to.
Of course. So first step would be to go to a broker and engage them and speak to them about what is your buying capacity, i.e. borrowing capacity. I would recommend a broker over a bank. Do you agree with that, Mark? Or what do you think there?
You know what I reckon? I reckon the first thing, it's like car shopping or it's like clothes shopping, even if you can't afford it. I reckon the first thing I'd try to do is whet my appetite a little bit, and just get some incentive out there. So even if you feel like you're a bit stupid because you haven't got the money, I would even just go to a couple of open houses and suss it out. Just go, can I do this suburb? Just see what excites you. Do you know what I mean? There's no use getting into something that you're not excited about. So I think go out, get a bit excitable, see stuff you don't like, see stuff you like, maybe see 3, 4, 5, 10 properties and come back and go, yes, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. Then do what you're suggesting.
So you're saying go to 10 open homes for properties, just see what excites you. And then you can probably do that in parallel to the broker. Yeah,
test drive. Go for a test drive with your properties.
Yes. Okay. Then what would be I think a next step would be, once you got the broker, would you find a lawyer now? Is this what the next step would be?
No, still, I reckon I had a chat yesterday with a really cool client that I've done a bit of business with, and we were he's going to be selling his house and he's going to be going back to do some business in Iran, and he's got a son and a daughter. And I was like, what's your son doing? And he's like, well, he's earning this amount of money. And I was like, buy a property for 450K. And he's like, you can buy a property for 450K? I'm like, yeah. And I said, first home buyer grant. He goes, first home buyer grant. I go, yeah. And he goes, and I said, don't worry. I said, the first thing when you tell the kids about buying it, they're going to say, I don't want to live in Narrabeen, DY, Collaroy, whatever. But just make sure you're telling them that they can rent it, live wherever they want. Yeah. They can go wherever they want. He's like, So, a lot of stuff that I think of as an agent, I think, well, of course you can live anywhere. Well, of course you can buy with a 10%, with a small deposit, less than a 10% deposit. Well, of course you can buy for 450K. A lot of people don't know these basics. So,
Yeah.
by us stepping people through this morning about what you can do, it's, if it doesn't apply to you, sure, there's friends or family you can flick this link off to and say, hey, kid, check this out. Or,
Yeah.
hey, 32-year-old, you've been renting for too long now. Look what these guys have to say. 32-year-old, keep renting, but buy a little sausage on the side.
Well, that's a great thing. We had it with that presentation in Chroma, Mark, where the son was considering, well, one of his reservations was, I don't know where I want to live. And you made a good point, Mark, where he goes, and maybe at the coast. So I don't necessarily want to buy and be stuck there. But you got to remember, guys, these properties can be rented out. It's like, so you buy, and you gave great advice. You buy in an area which has great capital growth, strong area. And if you don't like it, you can always rent somewhere else, So you could rent it out, but you got your asset there, and then you're as mobile as you want. You could change properties every 6 months if that really tickled your fancy. As long as you've got your core property. Now, what does the mail say here? Just saying, okay. I think a plan for genuine savings is critical as it impacts your borrowing. Oh, yeah. Yes. Didn't even think of that.
That's a good one. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, thank you. So basically your process.
Savings.
Savings.
What
are
a
saving for?
Who saves? Who saves?
saves?
What is savings? But that's what most of the world does. Amal is spot on. For a deposit, the bank's going to want to see it sitting in your account for a fair while and contributions.
Very much so. So savings, regular savings, pre-approval. So go to a broker, go to an open home. I think, and then once
how much savings? How much savings?
You want at least sort of that 10%, give or take. Sometimes as little as 5.
So if you're a first-time buyer, 5% minimum. If you're a third property owner, you want to start heading towards 10, 20% deposits. But I think if you're going to be saving, you're never really going to save more than 5 or 6% of the property. It's pretty hard.
Yeah, I reckon just set your goal of 10%. Okay, so what next? I think a big one is also find out ask yourself, is it an investment or is it a home to live in? Because I find when people are a little conflicted with that answer, it makes it very difficult for them to get to a position to make a decision because they're generally not I just find when they don't know what they're buying it for, they really go around in circles. Where if the investor purchase always is a lot probably simpler, less emotion. They look at the numbers and they're happy. And to be frank, Mark, like the numbers are all the same. Like if you're buying in DY, Queenscliff, Chroma, the reality is over a 10-year gap, they've had basically the same growth. So it doesn't really matter where you buy,
This is something I'm so passionate about. Give me any suburb in Sydney. Give me any suburb in Sydney and allow me to give you the 10-year track record of that suburb. Furthermore, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of that suburb, because we have that data. We have that data from Land Titles Office. We use some software called RP Data, and I blow people's socks off by these comparisons.
Yeah.
So this is steps to buying your first home that we're talking about. Steps to buying your first home is actually planting your foot in the right direction, because if you plant that foot in the wrong direction, you're up shit creek without a paddle.
You turn the
right,
and that's and like if I don't think people like it's crazy to think if I said to you, doesn't matter where you buy, let's say Northern Beaches, for example, and basically you grab the buyer who's never bought before, and it's basically you point to a map, Northern Beaches, and say, it doesn't matter where you buy, it's all going to be equal. Like, I think you've got to go in with that attitude and then look at some other minor things. Because we did a talk on this not too long ago, Mark. There's no bad buy. You buy anything, wait 10 years based on the history of the last 40 years, and it's doubled. So it doesn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that was in Sydney.
Yeah, and that was anywhere. So
That was anywhere in Sydney.
anywhere in Sydney.
Yeah, it
Yes.
wasn't Queensland or Melbourne and stuff hasn't had that track record that Sydney's had. But I think, steps to buying a first property, buy in suburbs that you know for
Yes.
repairs, maintenance, biggest thing for capital growth. Buy in suburbs that that have had good proven capital
Yes.
growth. You don't want to plant your foot in, especially if you're a virgin, you don't want to put your foot in a direction where it doesn't have capital growth. Now, what that capital growth means, I had a family friend telling me they wanted to buy in Ballina, and I said, buddy, chum, friend, Alex, I said, mate, here's Ballina. If you gave me $1 million to spend in Ballina 10 years ago, I would give you, when you sold it, I would give you your $1 million back, and I would give you 230,000. And he's like, wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I said, okay.
Okay.
Well,
you think that's good?
Give me the worst suburb that you think is the worst suburb in Sydney. And this is just what he said, guys. I don't think it's the worst suburb, but it's what he said. He said Kellyville. And I said, Kellyville. If you gave me $1 million.
Is that close to Mel?
No, it's not. But he goes, if you gave me $1 million, I said, if you gave me $1 million 10 years ago and you sold it now, I would give you $1 million back, plus I'd give you 830,000. And he went, what? And I said, 830,000. And he said, I said, give me another suburb. And he goes, Oatlands. Gave him Oatlands, same thing. Parramatta, same thing. Lane Cove, same thing. St. Ives, same thing. DY, same thing. So, so I think part of buying something and the first steps to buying, choose a suburb that's generally in Sydney, close to the CBD, and have a look how they've performed. Generally, if they have performed well, they should perform well.
Because this may make it easier when you're first looking. You're looking for your first couple purchases, capital growth, not necessarily rental return. Now, I know if you're buying a lot, that's the key. For your first couple, it's capital growth, period. That's the way, because that will allow so much further potential and growth and capacity for your portfolio is the capital growth. I know it's very easy to get sucked into, I see it a lot online, buy this and whoop, 7% return. People get caught into it. The amount of buddies come up to me going, buy my first home, but I want to buy it in the mines. I want to buy it here. I get 8% capital growth. No.
They're doing a 1 foot throw. They're doing just what's under their nose, just what they can taste, just what they can smell. They can smell the rental return, taste the rental return. That tastes good, eat it, like chocolate. But it's not like that. You got to have a long-term view. You got to look at what you just said, Michael. Capital growth, very important.
So now, that's the first thing. That's the most important thing.
Most important. Property. And also, my buddy chum Alex says, yeah. But they're building a railway line. Yeah. They're building an airport. At the end of the day, that's great. But is that airport or railway line going to save you? Is that going to be the fund? Is that what you're building your fundamental investment around? Yeah. A train line or an airport? What about schools, location to a CBD, waterways, beaches or harbours do very well? Like, you've got to look at holistically what's going to perform that capital growth for that property.
And I've always said, whenever your growth is impacted by external things, which, like, let's face it, that hospital, like that train line could be there one day and then gone. And if that's all your value, if that's what your property asset is built on, you're very vulnerable. So buy where there's capital growth.
Sydney. Monorail in the CBD of Sydney, they spent a couple $100 million putting it in and then ripped it out, failed. So, you want a holistic approach where there's a couple of really good things that you're buying.
Great point, Admel. Great point. And population growth and predictions.
That's big.
That's
killer.
That's one of the biggest things. That is one of the biggest things.
Harry Triguboff, if you read up, and this is the most successful property man in the country. If you read up on any of his stuff, he always underpinned what Amal's just said. it's population, population. He's a big believer of immigration to making this country great. This is the man that's one of the most popular property guys in the country. I think so far we've been very good with immigration the last 50 years, 60 years in our country. It's been good to us. It's important. So back to steps to buying. We got a deposit. We've gone out and done some shopping and got excited. We're going to start saving a deposit up. We're going to talk to a broker to see how much deposit and how much income, and if I'm eligible, what my price range is. Yep. What else do you do in the steps to buying, the first steps to buying?
Yeah, get your lawyer. You need your army. You need your lawyer who's going to review a contract for you, or a conveyancer. You need that. So
good
just population growth of Sydney, looking back 8 years, the growth rate, 1.8, 10%. So I'm just going to go find a good graph on that. I'm always interested in the population growth because it just, as you said, Mark, underpins property.
It underpins this country. You know, key workers. So the problem is with I won't say this country, I'll say the human race, or particularly with immigration. The first generation comes in and works like dogs. They're not educated. They'll do whatever they have to do to make a dollar. Super successful. The second, but all they want for their kids is education. So they educate their kids to be doctors. They educate their kids to all have a degree, right? Really, so they're super educated. Now those second and third generation, they don't want to do the basic work. Do you know what I mean? Because they're educated now. So it leaves us in a real problem. So every 10 years we have a good wave of immigration. Those key workers do a lot of that labor stuff, and then they become super educated with their children, and off they go. So immigration, it's a beautiful cycle.
Yeah, we've had that saying. What is it? First generation built it, second generation maintain it, and third blow it. So be mindful of that. So that's where you see a lot of wealthy families. They lock up the properties for generations. They won't make, so it can't be
it's interesting.
Fucked.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So where were we? What were we?
First steps to selling. First step to selling.
Lawyer,
first steps to buying.
Yeah.
Lawyer, conveyancer, seen the property, got the finance, make an offer.
I will also find out who the agents, the go-to agents are in the marketplace. I'm sure. I would also check your community on Facebook, see if you have friends who are in real estate or they have friends in real estate. Try and leverage an inside road somewhere into the industry. Yeah. And that could be someone. I reckon that's vital. Even if they're not in your area or where you're looking to buy, they can help you with the jargon, the dialogue, getting it there, as much as we're here to help our millions of viewers as well. Find that little inroad.
You know what I like? Finding a real estate buddy. I think when you're going out to all those open houses, you'll click with one or two agents. Let them keep you in their pocket, and you keep them in your pocket. And I reckon that's a really cool thing because you can ask them dumb questions for free.
Yeah. You know what? What else? Okay, so you got lawyer, you got your agent. I would even something as simple as bloody have your bank limit ready, or how to work out that. How many times people buy for their first time and they don't have, can't get access, they can't like make the transfer. Like even as simple as either have a checkbook. You know what though? I reckon a checkbook's a good way, Mark, because you know how we say make an offer, sign a contract, write a check. If you had a personal checkbook, you could do that without it costing you a bank check or making transfers. Yeah. I reckon if you really want to get into buying property,
you can even use mum or dad's checkbook or someone else's checkbook just to write checks that you don't ever give the agent, just to show that your strength as a purchaser. Look, I think when you're also first steps to buying the property, make an offer because it's free. A great saying that the answer is always no if you don't ask the question. So I think making the steps to buying a property, I think the stuff for free is really cool. agent's advice, well, that's for free.
Yep.
Making an offer on a property, well, that's for free. Inspecting a property, well, that's for free. So I think they're really cool things that you can do. And I think as a buyer, you're a little bit gun shy to inspect a property and waste an agent's time, or you're a little bit gun shy to make an offer because they may not accept it. You may feel stupid, look stupid. But you know what? It's free.
Great point, Mark.
Don't feel silly.
Because when you find the property you really want to buy, if you've got a few sort of runs on the board with making an offer, negotiating, having fun, you're going to be better for it. So it's simple things. What do you think you're going to be better in conversation negotiating in your first offer, or maybe after you've made 5 or 6? We would hope after you've made 5 or 6. So get through that, make some offers, have fun, hear what the agents say back, and then learn to adapt, and so you know what to say back as well. And then that will put you in a great position. So make a lot of offers on stuff you don't even like.
So do we? So in summary, we talk about the steps to buying a property. Not particularly first-time buyers either. It's just
anyone.
The steps to buying a property. We're talking about exploiting the things that are for free. Great idea, because if it doesn't cost you a cent. The only thing is you may sort of be a little bit embarrassed. You don't want to make an offer low because it won't be accepted. But yeah, there's a couple of things you can do. Hey,
definitely. And alrighty, anything else you want to add on to that, Mark? Are we good for this morning, and we'll be back tomorrow?
I'd love to do the capital growth one.
What do you?
I love to do the capital growth chat tomorrow. What we're actually doing, so you know, guys, is we've got.
Don't bring up the list.
We've got that list. Where's that list? This is the things we're going to be talking about.
Yep, let me bring it up, guys. Hey.
How are you? Good. How are you?
In the office. It's already 8:30. Okay, so I got that list.
Hello.
Where is it? Okay, here we go. I'll bring it up on this screen. Look who's joined me.
It's freaking me out.
Hey. Okay.
It's crazy.
Share. Where's that screen? So, guys, what do you want to say about this, Mark? 15 comment.
We got a shitload to talk about with buying.
Yeah, we really want to help people. So here we go.
Giddy up.
There. Oh, I'm off the screen. So,
That's it for today.
Yep. There we go. So there's
Bye,
our
everyone.
questions. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Giddy up.
We had Mark
Look at
in.
that first time, everybody. Yeah. Hey. Look similar.
Yeah. You're starting to get good looking then. Share the story. And then I gotta do this. Oh. Hang on, we're still live on. We're gonna get out of this. Where is it? Oh. Hang on, I'm still live. I can't do this.
I don't know. You get a bit of work to do on signs, they're all making